All right, we are officially live in our Google Hangouts. So if you want to get going, Matthew, you are welcome to start.
All right. Well, thanks you guys for this opportunity this evening. I wanted to just kind of go over some ground rules before we start. This focus group tonight is a discussion, really. It focuses on a particular topic. And tonight we'll be talking about youth sports and the value of those things. I'm not an expert, and we'll be discussing a bunch of different things. The whole point of this is to get your opinion. So there are no right or wrong answers, and I want to share that with you. Because we're on video, if you have something, just wave, but we'll just kind of go back and forth since there's just the three of us. And there are no right or wrong answers, so hopefully we can get through this, okay? So speaking of youth sports, first question I really have is, what's been your experience as a child, as a young adult, in athletics?
I can go first with that. As a youth, as a really young child, I played recreational boys and girls club soccer growing up during the summertime, and that was a lot of fun. And I actually played that sport all the way up until I was 18. And then also would intermittently play basketball in the wintertime through YMCA. And then as started as a young kid with that. And then when I entered junior high and high school, I fully committed my time to playing basketball as my primary sport.
Okay. What about you, Lalo?
I grew up with sports all in my life. My father is actually a cross-country coach for a high school that I attended in Los Angeles. But so I grew up with always like a coach type father who was tough, but you know, he introduced me to kind of the whole athlete life, and played all through high school. Ran track, played football, and did a little bit of soccer. But for me, sports, it's a big part of my life, and it does a lot for a lot of people.
Excellent.
A lot of good benefits, yeah.
Excellent. Jennifer, I know you have children. Do you have your children involved in sports? And if so, why?
I think sports is a good way to teach someone about discipline, but also about what they're capable of and their potential. And so my philosophy, I have a 7.5-year-old son, and my philosophy is he gets to try every sport that he wants to try, but he does need to pick something that he wants to commit himself to, I would say more around the age of 10. So far he's done football and didn't really like football. I think it was a little bit too slow for him. And then he doesn't really seem that interested in soccer at all. So we haven't actually officially played on a team with that. And primarily basketball has been the thing that he's enjoyed the most. And I think that also plays into the fact that being in Alaska, we are a little limited in some of the sports that we can play year round, except for basketball. We have lots of gyms up here, so that makes it pretty easy to do year round. He hasn't quite gotten into hockey, which I'm kind of glad, because it's really expensive up here to play hockey. But if he wants to try it, I'll certainly let him. I think there's a lot of advantages to him playing sports, learning how to work with other teammates, and him being able to be in control of himself and seeing the results directly from his work, I think is a great confidence booster, and can help him grow into being a fine young man.
So if I could reiterate then, some of the benefits that you said were, there were social benefits, there are physical benefits, there are confidence benefits. Is there anything else that you would add as far as kind of your motivations on why you have him involved?
I think primarily when you learn that if you put time and effort and dedication into something, and you can see yourself become better at something, that's just like a worthwhile, like priceless lifelong lesson that you can learn. And so I want to teach him that there's going to be a lot of things in his life that he's not going to be able to control, but what he can control is what he decides to put his time and effort into. And so if he's putting that into something that's positive, like a sport, I think he's going to be pretty well off and set with anything else that he does in life. So just being able to set goals and accomplish those things, I think, is the primary reason why I have him do sports.
Okay. And Lalo, you said that your father is a coach. You were actively involved. So 2 questions to you then. Why did you do it? Why were you involved in sports? And then why does your father coach?
Cool. So, I mean, as a little kid, I mean, I don't think you really know why you were doing things, right? Your parents just stick you in things. I started kind of coming into my own probably my early, like 10, 11, 12, I started actually gaining some success on the soccer field, on the baseball field. Like you kind of started realizing like, oh, okay, I'm decent. And it's to kind of go back, Matt, it's like, it also teaches you like a threshold for pain. It also teaches you how to lose. It also teaches you how to fail. So there's a lot there that happens on both sides. I mean, everyone always talks about like the teamwork, the camaraderie, the discipline, the good times, but it's also self-reflecting as a team going, okay, why did we lose this game? And if there's like turmoil in the locker room or, you know, it's having you also deal with adversity. My father, why does he coach? I think he was an all-American runner in college. And so I think it's just an extension of him, you know, being really good at something. But it's one thing I will say is I've been around a lot of successful coaches. The common denominator is just like the Malcolm Gladwell, like 10,000 hours. I mean, they just first one's in, last one's out. Coaches, I mean, like my dad just, you know, that's his life. You know, I mean, he's a teacher as well, but coaching is like his it's an extension of him, you know, it's a reflection of his discipline at 63 years old, you know?
Right.
So cool.
Well, transitioning then from the benefits, and you guys listed a lot of benefits, what would you say as far as coaching, what are some examples of good coaching and bad coaching?
Oof, that's a good question. I think not to get emotional. I think when you look at some of the solid coaches, I mean, just from an emotional standpoint, they're just kind of calm, you know, Phil Jackson, Bill Belichick, you know, nothing really, like Popovich, you know, nothing really startles them. Yet you have like, you know, Bobby Knight who's throwing a chair. You got coaches that are, you know, doing things that distract the players. It's really interesting to see kind of just the commonalities between successful coaches and the average ones, you know?
Okay. Jennifer, what do you think? Good coaching, bad coaching?
I think bad coaches they don't tailor their coaching and leadership style specific to the players that they're leading. And so I think good coaches will recognize their audience, they'll recognize their capabilities of their players, and then adjust their coaching style specific or tailor it to that. I don't think you can always just be the same coach, just as you don't always want to have the same player. And so like, I know personally, I coached high school girls basketball. It's called C team up here. It's like the freshman high school girls team. And so they're kind of more in the beginning stages. And one year I had a team that was just super athletic and fast. And so my coaching and what I was teaching them was all directed towards that speed and using that element. But then the next year I had girls who were like really tall and just wide and not fast at all. And so we had a completely different game strategy and did a whole different kind and set of drills. So helping them be successful meant that for me as a coach, I needed to tailor my strategies and even my communication style that works with their approach. Like a lot of girls, I think, don't do good with the male coaches that yell. Like they're not responsive to that. They shut down. And you see that time and time again. That's not really like a motivating thing. So For me, being like a female athlete, I know bad coaches for me are the ones who just yell and go crazy and nuts, that don't have patience and just get a temper. So I think those would be some examples of a bad coach. But I think it's really just about figuring out how to be a good communicator and recognizing who your audience is.
Okay, those are great responses. Couple quick more questions because I know we're running out of time. What certifications or requirements do you think a youth coach, and that could be anywhere from, Jennifer, like what you said, second graders on up to, let's say, through high school. What certifications or training do you think a youth coach should have?
You know, I think it's hard because like the league that I'm coaching right now, it's completely volunteer, right? So kind of the expectation level is that I'm this person that shows up and gives the kids a ball to dribble around, and like people are happy with just that status quo. But I think like for me, my challenge right now is I've never coached kids this young before. And so I don't really know developmentally where they're at, like what they're even capable of understanding, especially when I'm talking to them. And so I know like for me, it would be good just to even have a basic, like, here's the development cycle of a kid and here's what they're capable of even obtaining information wise at this age and that age and that age. So I would love some training on that because I think that would certainly improve my coaching.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. What do you think, Lalo? Training, certifications.
I mean, in a way, you kind of want. I mean, coaching like teachers. You know, you impact young lives. I mean, I wouldn't want to say that coaches need to be reminded that they're mentors, that they're role models. You know, they're. So I don't know if necessarily it's like a class or a certification, but just, you know, yeah, maybe kind of like a leadership class. You know, to kind of. Remind, you know, especially the younger ones, it's like, you know, whether you win or lose, okay, that's important, but you're also an extension of like a parental figure that can really rub off well or not for a kid.
Okay.
So leadership classes.
Excellent.
One thing I wanted to add that I think would also be really helpful is just training on maybe like interpersonal communication skills when you have to deal with parents, because sometimes parents can be insane. Yes. And attack you, and of course you want to remain like calm and professional, but also be able to provide kind of a logical response, a solution, a plan, something right with that parent. And so just even basic like how to diffuse a situation or a heated situation, you know what I mean? Just some of those basic communication trainings I think are always helpful for coaches, and how to handle parents and different personality styles and control styles and things like that.
Nice, nice. Okay, 3 questions and 4 questions, and these questions are to be ranked on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being I strongly agree, and 1 being I strongly disagree. Okay, so you're going to answer these questions. You're going to give me a number. 1 being I strongly disagree to 10 being I strongly agree. Okay. All right. So first question is this. First statement. Youth sports is valuable for physical development. Jennifer?
10.
10. Lalo?
10.
10. Okay. Next question. Youth sports is valuable for social development.
8.
Okay. Youth sports is valuable?
Yes, is valuable for social development.
Yeah, it's valuable. Yes, 8.
8, okay.
Yeah,
Lalo, youth sports is valuable for emotional development.
8.
8, okay. Jennifer?
I'd give it an 8 as well.
Okay. And then the last question I have is, a youth coach can have a direct effect on a person's self-view as an adult.
I'm going to say 7. And I want to add that I think that's dependent on how long the coach is in their life for. You know what I mean?
Okay. Lalo?
Six. I think that's one option, one of many ways
it can go.
That
okay.
It can form your self-esteem or confidence.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks, you guys. I just want to let you know that the goal that I had for this was is to understand the importance of how a youth coach can affect a person, both at the time that they're being coached as well as in the future. How does a junior high or youth coach's approach to team motivation and organization affect player confidence and team success? So you guys gave me some great answers. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So you want me to go next, or do you want to go next, Lalo?
All right. Why don't you stop the live broadcast?
I'm afraid to do that. We'll just make a long one. And then
Are you sure?
Yeah. I just don't want it to mess up at all technically. You know what I mean? And I think he wants just one recorded fluid broadcast.
All right.
So my focus group was going to be on the value of an internship to find a career out of college. So there is a lot of pressure that is put on young people. I call it the mid-20s crisis. Everyone is kind of expecting you to know what you're going to do. And you've been so, programmed to go to school, even though college is flexible, now you're, kind of thrusted into the world. And where do you go from there? How do you know law's for you, or medicine, or, I think all of us know what that is like. So there are some that do internships to help them with that, and others that just work through summers or travel abroad or take summer school. And so I wanted to focus on and kind of hear the opinion of people on how an internship helps you find the right career for you. Okay, so I'll ask you guys some questions. Did either one of you have an internship prior to your first real job? Matt?
I had a summer job that they called an internship, but it was far from an internship. So I never went into anything specific and said, for example, I worked at the newspaper or something like that, thinking I was going to be a journalist, or worked at a doctor's office, thinking I was going to be a doctor. I never did anything like that.
Interesting. How about you, Jennifer?
Actually, my internship started when I was in high school. I was a junior in high school, and that internship actually helped guide me and lead me to figure out what I wanted to do and what I wanted to go to college for. So mine wasn't necessarily the mid-20s crisis. My internship was more about helping me figure out what I wanted to go to college for and spend my time and effort into.
Wow. So how did, so this is a perfect, so we have someone who really, so Matt didn't really intern with a high school or college, and Jennifer, you did. So this is kind of perfect. So Jennifer, would you say you stayed in the same general industry based off of your internship?
No. So my internship was actually at a news station, and I was hooked after doing my internship. And I think I actually ended up doing a lot of things in my internship that I technically wasn't supposed to do, but it was on the weekends and there was no news supervisor staff there. So I was pretty much just thrown into the field and just go with it and learn things. And it was just a lot of fun. And I found that a lot of the skills that I had matched with that profession. And so then I went to college for it. And ironically, when I was graduating college, the news station that I had interned at, I came back, I got a job, and right at that time, it went from local ownership to national ownership, which changed a lot of the news philosophy there. And then web came in and really changed a lot of things in the newsroom and the journalism world. And after about 3.5 years of doing that, it was no longer what I had initially fell in love with. So I left that and went into other communications fields.
So Matt, because you didn't have a kind of a company to kind of go back to and say, hey, you know, could I work here? And, you know, Jennifer, it sounds like though she kind of laid some bricks and had relationships and was able to tap into that. For you, did you feel more overwhelmed, or like, where do I start? Like, so when you graduated, not having an internship, I mean, so I'm trying to find out how much do they matter?
You know,
to end up at their career. Yeah.
I think for me, it probably would have helped me a lot. If I could have had a variety of internships. I looked at advertising. If I could have worked at an ad agency, that would have been awesome, because it would have given me insight. If I could have worked in a manufacturing plant, that would have given me insight. If I could have worked in a car dealership, that would have given me insight. So, because when I graduated from college, I didn't know what I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that it would have been very beneficial for me had I had that opportunity or made that opportunity. I just didn't pursue it. I was more interested in the girl who's now my wife than going and getting an internship. So that was kind of my drive.
All right, so I segue into another area, which is how much should every university's college counselors, like how influential should they be in either helping a student or a person solidify either an internship for a career or just career guidance? So how important is that should that be for all universities? So
if I can jump in there just to kind of tag on to what I said, I think it's crucial. When I was going to college, and this was back in the 80s, I graduated in 1990, undergrad. For me, I don't think I ever saw an advisor. You know, I went in, I picked out my classes, and they said, okay, that's good. You know, do you need anything? And that was it. There was no active advisement. There was there was a recruiting place on campus, and, you know, they did those kinds of things, but I was never encouraged to go do that. And I didn't have to go talk to anybody. That said, I know that has changed on the majority of college campuses today. Like I mentioned before, for me, I would highly recommend a variety of internships, just for you to say, hey, what's out there?
Right.
That's kind of what, in my mind, one of the things that we learn in college is, what are you good at? What do you love? And if you love it, then how can you make a living at it, or how can you develop that? So I think I think it's critical that something like that should happen.
Jennifer, I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah, I think internships are extremely valuable as long as the program is set up to be of value. I've seen some internships where it really is just you're the coffee runner or the, you know, bathroom cleaner or whatever kind of thing, and it doesn't really provide any value to the person. But right. I think what does make internships valuable is being able to see in true form and in action the job and what it entails. Because a lot of the times there's what we think something is like, and then what it actually is, and those can be a night and day difference. When I was I was the communications director for our local police department, and we didn't offer internships, but the profession of law enforcement is certainly something that's been really hard to attract and recruit for. And of course, everybody has their ideas about what law enforcement is based off of television and all those things, which is completely like a faraway difference. So instead of doing an internship, we did a thing for youth called the Youth Academy. And what we actually had was a variety of different positions, like a detective for a specific unit, or a drug investigator would come in and give a spiel about what their daily life is like in that job, just to give students a better perspective about, oh, this is what it really requires. Because to actually become a law enforcement officer, it's really expensive to train people to do that profession. And so, again, you don't want to, as an organization, you don't want to waste money training people and bringing them into your organization when they're completely not the right fit. But that's because they also had it based on this false perception of not necessarily realizing what that profession truly is about and what it's like on a day-to-day basis. So I think internships are really valuable to kind of get a sneak peek before you fully commit to something. So.
I mean, so just a few questions, scale to 1 to 10, 10 being yes and 1 being a no, is would you say internships are underrated? Matt? Under or overrated? Or actually, yeah, or are they underrated?
Are they underrated? In other words, do they not receive as much importance as they should? Yes, I think they're highly underrated. At least that was my case. So call that a 10. I strongly agree with that.
Wow. Jennifer?
I think today they're more highly regarded, and they're a lot more organized. And so I don't think they're underrated. I don't think they're overrated. I think now maybe they're just right.
Interesting. Okay. And do you think there is a strong correlation, 1 to 10, both of you, between the college counseling programs and solidifying a internship? Or is it up to the,
my opinion is that, yes, there's a strong correlation because they can drive that. And so, I'll go all in and say 10.
Wow.
I would say probably about an 8, I think would be my rating for that.
Why? Because there should be like a split responsibility between the person and also the college or university?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's so much that a college can do or say, but I also feel like a lot of the responsibility too lies within the organization or the profession to essentially recruit its future workforce as well. So I don't think it's necessarily something that should be completely or entirely put on the university to come up with. I think it's kind of more of a partnership that has to happen across all lines. And I think organizations can work with the universities as the means or an outlet to essentially recruit internships, but I don't think it should always be the university that's having to, push people into it,
No, I like that. I kind of forgot, companies should also help out and, reach out and try to talk to the universities and say, we have openings or we're looking for this. So, all right, that's it for me in terms of the importance of an internship and your career development.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So sorry to do this to you guys, but my focus group is on shopping habits and kind of a fun shopping habit. Today we're going to talk about something that is a need for all of us, which is food. We all need food. And so this focus group is supposed to learn about the food you choose and why you choose it when you go to the grocery store. So of course, I just want to reiterate that there's no right or wrong answer here. I'm just looking for your opinions and information about your habits and what goes into when you buy food. So we'll first start with a warm-up question. What is your favorite thing to buy when you go to the grocery store?
Meat. Steaks. Brisket, ribs, and vegetables. I would toss it up between those two things.
Okay.
I love to make smoothies, so smoothie stuff.
Is your favorite thing to buy?
Yeah, bananas, fruits, kale. I throw everything in the blender. Powders, oils.
All
it's
that.
Like food on the go.
Cool. How often do you go to the grocery store?
I would say as a family or individually, first of all?
Either or, just state which one is which.
Okay, so as a family, I would say we're probably at the grocery store 2 to 3 times a week.
Whoa.
We got 6 people here, Lalo.
Dude. I was gonna say 2 to 3 times a month.
2 to 3 times a month is how often you go, Leo?
I mean, I'm considering, like, does Amazon Fresh count? I mean, or like, are you like physically into a grocery store?
I'm talking about like actual physical retail location. Okay. Yeah.
So 2 to 3 times a month.
Okay, perfect. And do you prefer to go to one store for all of your grocery shopping, or do you go to a variety of stores?
For us, we go to a variety of stores depending on what we're trying to get. We go to Sprouts for the vegetables. We go to Costco for the meat.
Wow.
And then we go to Safeway around the corner for other basics. My wife goes to Target for the household things, you know, the cleansers and things like that.
All right.
I primarily go to one.
And which one do you go to?
Just Whole Foods.
And is there something specific about Whole Foods that you choose that grocery store for?
There's everything that I need there in terms of wine, beer, good produce. It's walking distance from my apartment, and there's a salad, or there's like the buffet area, so you can always eat. So you can not only pick up food, you don't have to go home and cook, because you can just eat what you picked up.
Nice.
I think it's very convenient. Ridiculously expensive. Yes.
So some more specific questions about your shopping habits. What kinds of produce do you buy most often at the grocery store? And we're again specifically talking about produce. What kinds of produce do you most buy at the grocery store?
Bananas, all types of berries, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, and then carrots, kale, and green onions, and ginger.
Wow. That dude, I'm coming to your house. Let you cook, man. For produce wise, let's see, broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, jalapenos, avocados. Then we do, you know, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, apples, peaches when they're in season. We get the bagged lettuce just because it's easier and you don't have to wash it and mess with it. And then whatever other fruit looks good.
And then just to follow up, do you buy your produce at one grocery store or at multiple grocery stores?
We typically get, we like to get things at Sprouts because we think their quality is better and their prices are better. Then we would get things either at Fry's or Safeways, depending on where we are and what we needed, if we needed something specific.
And you do all your produce shopping at Whole Foods, Willow?
Yeah, or Amazon Fresh.
Amazon Fresh. I haven't seen that yet. That sounds cool, though.
You haven't tried Amazon Fresh?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
but it sounds
so fantastic. You literally open your door and everything you ordered is right there.
Yeah,
that's
awesome. What is most important to you when buying produce? So the look of it, the price of it, if it's organic or local, or if it's on sale, what are the most important elements to you when you decide what produce to buy?
Produce, because it's, for the most part, affordable. Organic is kind of what I look for.
Okay.
What about you, Matthew?
For us, I think first most is freshness. Mm-hmm. Then it would be kind of a toss-up between organic and price, depending on what it is. Right. Price is important. I don't want to spend, you know, if there's one kind of tomato and another kind of tomato, they're both tomatoes, I'm going with the one that's going to be more cost-effective and looks better.
And so just to clarify, you determine freshness by look?
Yeah, look, smell, touch.
Okay. And how important, and this is going to be on either a response of not very important, somewhat important, or very important. How important to you is where your produce came from?
Wow.
Not that important.
Not that important.
Okay. And then how important to you, same thing, either not important, somewhat important, or very important. How important to you is whether or not the produce is from a local grower in your area?
Somewhat important.
Somewhat. If it's an Arizona grower, I would say if I had a choice over something, I would probably pick the local guy.
Okay.
So somewhat important.
And I'm sorry, what was your response, Lalo?
Somewhat important. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think local produce is better than produce from outside of your area, and why or why not?
I don't necessarily think it's better. I think it's kind of cool that you're supporting your local farmers. But if my local farmer didn't, have a good harvest for bananas, I have no problem getting them from somewhere else.
All right. What about you, Matthew?
I think that ask me the question again.
Do you think local produce is better than produce from an outside area, and why or why not?
Just knowing the way things ship and how quickly they get things. No, it's not that important.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you know any local farmers in your area and what they grow?
No.
No. Neither, Layla?
No.
And what might influence you to buy local produce more often?
For me, I think that if there were taste tests,
Okay.
comparing the freshness, that would be great. If you had pictures and stories of the actual farmers or the farms, I think that would be great. Those things are motivational, and just more information. So those would be two things.
Great.
Convenience. I actually subscribe to a monthly local farmers box that gets delivered.
Nice.
You've seen those ones? I don't know, Jennifer, it's got like fingers on them.
Yeah, there's a few of them. They call them, up here they're called CSAs, Community Supported Agriculture, where they have a monthly subscription service from that farmer, a bunch of local farmers. But yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So for me, it was just convenience. I signed up for it at a beer festival. Like 8 months ago or 5 months ago, and I thought the concept was cool. They throw in a variety of produce, and it kind of makes it like, oh wow, cool. It's a win-win, convenience, and you feel good supporting local farmers.
Now, do you select what's in your box every month, or are you a surprise me customer?
I'm a surprise me customer, but I think I'm going to start tweaking it just a little bit.
Sounds good. What is the most you are willing to pay more for produce that's locally grown instead of imported? And I do have some specifics on that. Are you willing to pay 5 cents more, 10 cents, 50 cents, $1, or more than $1 for locally grown versus outside produce?
Probably no more than $1 more.
No more than $1. Okay.
I mean, again, like a tomato, if it's $1.99 or $2.99, anything, if it's $3.99 versus $1.99,
Yeah, I'd go along with that.
$1.
I'll buy organic if it's close in price. So that would probably be the same kind of thing. So yeah, about $1 at the most.
Okay. And then, oh well, we didn't try any local produce today, so I can't have you rate it. But if we were a true focus group, I would have samples for you guys to try and rate.
Sweet.
So.
Love samples. Costco.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate all of your feedback in our focus group today.
Thank you.
I'm going to hit stop broadcast. Hold on.